I'm Omer, I'm lead SEO at Aerofleet, and what we want to do today is talk specifically about how to produce content that Google likes. Obviously, SEO is much more than just content, even though it's a very important element in good organic performance. But today, we will solely focus on the content aspect. So there are obviously a lot of other issues that kind of overlap. I will put them aside for today. What we're going to do today is get you very well acquainted with the way Google evaluates content, discuss a couple of very important concepts within Google's interpretation of high quality content. We will give you some examples of pages which usually perform better for your consideration. We'll discuss specifically blog posts, which is arguably the most common. And we hope to leave some time for questions so that you will also have, if you have some specific things you want to cover. I've been doing SEO, leading the SEO in Aerofleet for the last couple of years. Been doing it overall for about 14 years. And I did happen to develop a lot of SEO training materials. So whenever we discussed kind of adding some peripheral value to our clients, in general, it was relatively easy for me to say, hey, there's a gap between many of the marketers that we interact with. There's a gap between what they think is good content and how to maintain it and how to rank by generating content and the way Google does it. So that gap is something that I was very happy to kind of sink my teeth in, because I think that in the next hour or so, I would be able to tell you a lot more about how Google processes, identifies, and says, yeah, that's a good piece of content that I want to rank well. Basically, Google Glasses have already been discontinued, but I want to give you a Google Glass for just this hour to see the world of content from Google's perspective. I want to preface that and say that there might be other external and 100% valid qualifications for good content. Today, I am telling you what Google thinks, so it's not even what I think. We will present a lot of the things in Google's own language, so you would know exactly what I know about good content for Google. I'm going to show you 2 pages. And you will tell me intuitively or whatever you think. This is a page from CNN. It talks about somebody who is missing. Take a look at this page. And now I want you to take a look at this page from Craigslist. And this is selling construction work. Now, completely intuitive from what you know about, I don't know, anything. Who thinks that the valuable content for Google is on CNN versus who thinks the most valuable content is the Craigslist page that we're watching? Again, a show of hands. If you didn't vote for CNN, then you vote by default Craigslist. Okay, we'll get back to that. Now I'm talking about a Google resource. We're gonna address a guide that is publicly available. This is the link that you will receive in your material. This is what I'm quoting. It's an official Google document that tells you how Google evaluates content quality. Okay, so you have the link. It's not a very short read. I'd estimate it at about half an hour. But if you if my tease has triggered you to kind of explore it fully, it's not impossible to read. It is laid out very easily as a set of questions. We are addressing only content, but again, good content is essential for ranking. It's not debatable. If you don't have good content, none of the other aspects will help you. If Google doesn't think the content is as high quality. So the format, and again, it's completely accessible. The link is live, it's open, there's no login request, it's just available for everyone. It is a list of questions that you have to ask yourself about your site. And based on the answer, you know if you meet the requirements or not. Now, I did in case anyone is wandering off or will have to run off to a meeting, I have added a TLDR here. Google equates, and it's a bit of a spoiler, Google completely equivocates high quality content as helpful content. If you will remember, and we'll discuss a lot of items and provisions and solutions, if you have to remember one thing from this workshop is that for Google, again, we're wearing Google glasses and we see the world from Google's perspective, high quality content equals helpful content. Now I've summarized almost verbatim. We will do it relatively quickly. We will review the actual lines and questions that you've seen, for the most part verbatim. So this is almost in Google language. I do want to preface that and say that this is the general content guidelines and it applies to every indexable page on the web. So there is a very clear distinction, let's say habits or issues or content issues. There are typical for B2C sites, right? For mass users versus B2B. And Google does include, there are quite a few items here who I'm a priori sure none of you falls on it because it's classical B2C issues. I'm still going to mention them because, again, I'm giving you the complete perspective from Google. I will mention when it's more a B2C issue. So we have a first question, and this applies to a page, every question, a page in specifically or your site in general. Does the content provide insightful analysis or interesting information? That is beyond the obvious. So you have to have a unique perspective on a topic in order for Google to think that you are helping, because you need to add something that didn't exist. The second one is more methodology of interpretation of the first question. Is the content result of research beyond a Google search? That is basically what most external content writer, I don't want to offend anyone. I've worked with real artists that were external content writers, but I also know the market, and I know that the majority of external content writers will Google search for their research about the topic, the article they're going to write. Do we have anyone here who is a marketer that doesn't, that uses external content writers? We should all have in-house content writers, because if you basically produce published content that was based on Google search, this is not helping the user. Here is something that is specifically for B2C. I don't think any of you would fail at. Specifically, we have to use descriptive headings. We have two main headings on a page, the title and the H1. I won't be getting any more technical than this probably, but they have to be descriptive, not clickbait. Most of the B2B sites do that perfectly. Again, you know what clickbait is. You live in a digital world. You know that sometimes headlines promise things that the content item does not deliver. That is obviously forbidden. This specific one is a little bit more kind of vague. Would you expect to see this content shared in social media or referenced by a printed magazine, encyclopedia, or a book? So just from your experience, I mean, there is no, like, somebody would say yes, somebody would say no, but that's another level. If you are involved in the social sphere somehow, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, I don't know, Instagram, whatever, and you know what type of articles or content pieces people tend to share, does that kind of meets the eye test of something that people would normally like to share? If the answer is unequivocally no, we're with an issue. If it's a maybe, then you're probably good. The same thing, a comparison to other content items, is in the competition itself. So Google already ranks for the keyword you want to rank. Maybe you're in the second page, but there are already pages on the first page. So when you look at the rankings that currently, the high rankings, the better pages that are number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Google right now, and you compare them with your page or your site, how do they compare? Are they more robust? Do they look more serious? Again, it's an eye test. You have to kind of, from your experience, measure it and see if you're distinctly in a disadvantage over your potential organic competitors. So this is the easiest one. It's very quick, and everybody is susceptible to errors and typos. Always proofread. Publishing content cannot be like a single person cycle. Somebody always have to proofread. Also, make sure whoever, in any language, right? Whether Hebrew, English, French, Arabic, Russian, whatever, the only person that can actually write content is somebody who's a native level speaker. We don't leave any room for register errors, slang errors even, common phrasing. No, Google knows that very, very well. Google is like an English teacher. It could pick up a one-letter error out of a 10,000 word book. So no errors, proofread. Okay, the next one is a little bit interesting because it slightly overlaps the most viral and trendy topic in content production. But it's generally, this is also a B2C clause, because sometimes you really have sites, again, B2C, that would just allow anyone to come write a page and publish it on their site. So we will touch it again on this a little bit later. Basically, I don't think any of you would answer yes to that question. Does the content have an excessive amount of ads? Again, typical B2C. I don't think any of you are monetizing clicks to other brands. You understand the concept of ads, obviously. And the last one is mobile devices. Is it mobile compatible? Now, the reason it's very easy to answer this question, this is probably the only question that we don't answer ourselves. We have a tool for it. And I linked to the tool, even though it is, the link I gave is external. You can test the mobile compatibility of every indexable page in the internet. I don't know, you don't have to have permission. You also have it in Search Console, the same functionality. Basically, a page to rank well needs to be mobile compatible. You just test the URL in this. I won't open it. It's just a GSC, it's just a Search Console feature as a standalone page, and you get you put in the URL, and after 2 minutes you just get a binary response, either mobile friendly or not mobile friendly. So this is the only question that you don't answer yourself, but it's very easy to get the answer. So I don't want you guys to think too much on the group batching. Like here it says focus on people first content, because some of the, as we've seen, some of the questions slightly overlap, and the distinction here is not as clear as it should have been. Google could have just set that as a long list of questions. They do mix between the groups. So for this one, we have more questions about the audience. And again, this is mostly a B2C issue, because again, B2B companies, we know our audience. We think and act on a daily basis for our audience. But if you were, again, an affiliate running a B2C site for whoever is clicking the right link, then they don't have a specific target audience that they could kind of help them. Remember, we're talking being helpful. So the more you know the user, obviously, the more you will be able to meet their needs. So I don't think that applies to a lot of us. Does your content clearly demonstrate firsthand expertise and depth of knowledge? This question wants to kind of make you evaluate, how do you present the people behind the content? So basically you guys, the people who create, for example, a blog, how are they described in the blog page or lobby or author pages? So we need to show the people that know what they do and this is their profession, do the content. It's not going to be very easy for you to answer that right now, but I'm hoping that within half an hour, you'll be able to answer that easily, because we will cover that. Does your site have a primary purpose or focus? Is kind of like the first one, mostly addressed to B2C? Yes. I mean, obviously, we created a service or a product or I don't know, whatever. We created something, and now this is our purpose, is to kind of market this. If you're a link farm and you just want any user to come to your site, then you don't have a real purpose. Your purpose is to gain organic traffic. And again, I'm re-highlighting an issue that I do want you to remember in your head again. And this is the question from Google as listed. Did your page, after a user read it, consumed it, let's say, did it help them with what they were looking for? A search query in Google is a request for help. Did the page, after reading it, help? This is something that you have to ask yourself. It pre-requires that you know the intent well. But then again, knowing the intent of your clients is your profession. So we're assuming that you will be able to answer this question truthfully, as Google would have, about your pages and your typical page and typical user. And now we're reaching almost the most interesting part of Google's information. So that's blatantly spammy practices. So nobody here is, again, trying to link for keywords for topics that they're completely not associated with. This is a B2C question. Are you mainly summarizing what others have to say without adding much value, or automating content production? We will get to that in the next slide. Are you writing to a particular word count? Word count hasn't been relevant for Google for the last 12 years. I hope none of you will ever say yes for that. So no word count. Did you decide to enter some niche topic area without any real expertise? This is a little bit of an expansion of those questions. Do you have the knowledge? Are you writing for someone? So did you try, you saw that within your industry, there are a few topics that maybe are not super relevant for you, but there's low competition. Don't try to rank for them specifically. Don't try to create content for them if it diverts you from your area of expertise. It's an elaboration on the basic concept. And does your content promise to answer a question that actually has no answer? This is 100% B2C. You guys will probably never do that. But my example, I love it so much because it's from life itself. I love Rick and Morty. Maybe you guys too, but they never provide their schedule. And the amount of pages online that you will find Rick and Morty season 8, episode 1 in the title, click there and you see no Rick and no Morty. That is what this question wants to answer. I would be personally angry at each and every one of you if you have that, because I'm full for that a lot. Now, obviously, the most talked about topic that concerns content generation these days is ChatGPT. I don't know what the abbreviation is, but I just hate it. It's not a real discussion. Google, if you remember, Google, and just for perspective, the content guideline, the site page that I showed you, exists for at least, it's pre-COVID, I mean, at least 4 years. So the clause from the questionnaire that I actually read up to you about automated content, it even predates ChatGPT. But since ChatGPT is so popular right now, and I know for a fact that some sites are actually using, nobody in this forum, none of my clients, but it is being done. Google has published a separate, clear official guideline. It is also linked in here, but I'm giving you the gist of it. Do not use ChatGPT for any indexable page or content, or even a paragraph in your site. It's spam. It's the definition of spam. Maybe in the future, maybe when I'm dead, the AI technology will be progressive enough to do their own semantic research or even business research. But until that happens, no, just separate them. ChatGPT has nothing to do with indexable pages. So it's very clear. It's not even a gray area. Now that you're wearing Google's glasses, you know what Google asks itself to kind of determine how valuable, i.e., anyone wants to use a word without high, instead of high quality, if you remember. Now you know a little bit more about Google's kind of wish list for a helpful page. But two concepts within it are not as simple as face value semantics would tell. So I would start with the your money or your life concept of organic content. This, by the way, is also from Google's semi-publicly available material. It's their own internal documentation for their the people who work for Google Search as content quality evaluator. Basically, the guide that I'm linking there is an expansion on the basic principles of the web page that Google on the smaller guide. So this one I do not recommend. It's like 80 pages of small, tight, thick print. That is very hard. It's a very hard read, but it does include, it sheds light on very open, important concepts within Google's content evaluation. So I will give you the gist. I don't recommend you read that. It addresses pages. Let's start with an example. Maybe it would be easier. Let's say that I don't have no medical experience, knowledge, education, nothing. I haven't took an MTA class or like a paramedic. Nothing. And I don't know SEO. So maybe if I publish a page that very well explains how to help someone with a heart attack, okay? And because I know SEO very well, it will rank #1 if you, as a user, would type in, I need to help someone with a heart attack. If you go to my page first, I have zero experience. I just typed some well-grammared sentences, and that's the instructions. I might kill some people, you know? So that should not happen. Like, if I don't have the expertise to tell someone how to save someone's life, I probably shouldn't be ranking in Google for the keywords that express that intent. Now, I've given you a very severe example that addresses actual people's actual life. They could die. So that's the extreme extent of your money or your life. This is how Google calls it. It's not like an external. It doesn't have any, life beyond SEO. But this is how Google calls items of content, which, if misleading, intentionally or not, it doesn't matter. Intentionally or not, if they're misleading you, they will cause harm. So we're not going to kill anyone, probably. I haven't uploaded that page, how to help someone who has a heart attack. But within this long document that I linked there, Google specifically mentions that safety, and then online safety, is also, to some degree, your money or your life piece of content. And while it is less severe than actual killing people, let's say that let's imagine a company that does fraud detection for a bank, okay? If they are not doing it well and they're ranking #1 for safe banking systems, then a lot of people would open an account, and maybe a month after that, their account will be defrauded, or they will, identity theft will happen, or whatever. Google is not completely wrong when thinking that one of our most common industries, in our business, is your money or your life content. I could argue with Google, and for some things I might be right, but it is what it is. If you want to rank in search, then Google decides what is your money or your life. So again, remember that online safety as a concept, to a different degree of severity, does put you into this territory of your money or your life. Now, individual cases may vary. More important, less important. Obviously, we cannot go over like endless examples. So that's something that maybe needs a little more specific analysis. But in general, think about that if you provide any sort of service or solution or product that help make people safe online, you should consider your money or your life. There isn't a next concept that comes with it, but in general, it means this next concept and also increased adherence to the general content law guidelines. So if, for example, Google will, if you're just selling, I don't know, tissue paper, no, tissue paper could be dangerous. What is that? If I'm just reviewing movies, okay, nobody's gonna die if I give them a bad review because I don't know what I'm saying. Those kind of pages would still need to be compatible with the content guidelines. But if you are your money or your life page or content or site, then it's even more important. So no pages without those specific full adherence to those guidelines will not be ranking. There is an exception. We'll get to that in the end. So your money or life, again, it's not the easiest thing to kind of spot. This is why me and other SEOs are available, but you do have to consider if you're generally in the realm of your money or your life content. Now, the next resulting, the problem, let's say the organic problem is we have to meet your money or your life, Fred. Let's assume we decided that we are subject to these criteria. Then the next concept that I'm going to discuss is how we're going to get to that level where we're trustworthy enough. There is a very long name: experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. You by no means need to either remember them or distinguish between them. They mostly overlap, actually. Google doesn't work too hard to make it easy on us. So you can just call it EAT. That's what the rest of us do. So EAT is the signals that we use in, and we'll see where in a minute, we use to kind of display to Google this facade, and hopefully also the behind the scenes of a very trustworthy. I mean, we have to convince Google that if we deliver this content, if we publish this content, then it's probably going to be helpful, and it's not going to be risky to rely on our content, even if it's very important, even if misleading content could cause you damage. So how do we, and again, just for brevity, if you have your money or life content, you need to take care of your EAT. And how do you do that? We touched upon it during Google's guidelines review, and we're going back to the element of author pages. We have to have and that's not limited. I see it always in blog pages, but actually other pages should also have authors, as many as we can. And the author pages should be as robust as we can, including an image, social profiles, Facebook, LinkedIn, a short bio, links to anything external that could provide some context on the level of expertise. So for example, if you have an engineer that had just recently won a very prestigious award in the industry, by all means, link from their author page to the formal, I guess, article that from the academic, let's say, institute that gave the prize. Stuff like that, the algorithm can kind of understand the correlation between people generating the content and the content. So again, in order to increase the level of assurance Google has that we were not going to be misleading for important content. Obviously, the best doctor in the world can operate and the patient will die. But at least Google will have some sort of a basis to assume that the people that are talking about important issues know what they're talking about. It's their profession. They are recognized externally for their knowledge. So not only Google sees them as a good place to check for that content, the same exact concept is not only about the person specifically, the author, but on the company. So we all have about us, or company, same thing, sections. But sometimes there's just, a couple of pages where we founded the address, okay? No, we need a very, very solid about us section in order to meet your money or your life criteria. We need to know what is the company doing? Again, awards or innovations, or where did it present in conventions? Who are the people behind it? A lot of sites do have like the board and management, but think about, again, like the people who actually write the content are also very important. Maybe they also should be represented there, a separate career page, a separate, vision, stuff like that. Everything you can tell to Google about the process of publishing the content behind the scenes. Yeah, we talk about what we know, we research. Here are the people who research. They all have the accreditation. Some of them have published papers. It's not only academic, it could be from any reputable third party that provides some additional assurance of expertise for the company and for the author. So those are two elements that need to be in your site if you are considered by Google your money or your life level content. And the other part of mitigating EAT, or bringing EAT to the level that Google requires, is links. I mean, I'm saying it very nice here, off-page attribute, positive reputation at third-party assets. The technical implementation of that is just getting good links. We're not going to cover, obviously, backlinks in general, but this aspect, first of all, puts a little more emphasis on the linking assets. So you might have a page that has maybe, again, best case scenario, a university page that says our alumni has received the whatever, and it's an employee in your company. We have to consider, is the description here is in the page that is linking to the author page, or vice versa. The reputation has to be positive, obviously. So you have to kind of make sure that you have a lot of good reputation. Basically, it's good for every aspect of business, right? But we're talking here about gaining references from assets that count in your industry. And we'll go over next bullet. We'll name them specifically, for example. So that's just basically good business practice, right? Be good at what you do, and people will value you for that. But specifically for our purpose, that's something that we should proactively work for. How do we do that? Now we're going to the third party assets. And this is actually a ranked order of importance. I'm not sure if all of you know about Google Scholar and Google Books. Those are two separate search engines, not the standard one. You can get them from the standard one though. And the Google Scholar only it brings you results, basically the same format as a Google search, as a web search, but it brings you only results from academic researchers. Same for Google Books, just from Google scanning of actual printed books. And it could be manipulated like any other link. I don't know why Google puts so much emphasis. Again, I'm not gonna address moral or ethical, whatever issues, just give you Google's point of view. And for Google, the best indication of third-party reputation you could have would be if you are mentioned in academic research, publications, or printed books. That's the top. How do you get to it? Not easy, but possible. I'm sure that if I asked you, and I didn't, sorry, you would tell me Wikipedia is the best site to get a link from, and you would be right. Yeah, Wikipedia is the best organic site in the world, and a value from Wikipedia is the most valuable site, again, from a site. Google Scholar and Google Books is better, but for a conventional site, Wikipedia value is the best link you can have. But also for an industry, specifically, you see where do we compete? Let's say we do firewalls, so who can be our, like Gartner and knows about, like, has a reputation for firewalls as CISO, yeah, you know, so the site that you read about the industry, if they write something good about you and link to your site, and again, vice versa, if we want to show that they are talking about us, then that's a reputable, a relevant reputation indication. So that's what we're looking for. It can go down to less relevant site if you can find. User reviews on like review platforms are also a type of link, and social profiles. Again, those are if they're accessible to Google bots, it's also something that would enhance your reputation, but a little less because the people that provide the reference are kind of themselves less reputable. So it's actually kind of a ranking order with Google Scholar and Books first and social profiles the least. I don't want to frighten you. If you have like predominantly good, let's say star rankings, if you have 105 stars and 1 stars, it's fine. Like don't obsess about bad reputation if it makes sense, like from real life, right? Nobody gets 100% satisfaction guarantee. So don't panic. Just make sure. And again, I know that it's not the easiest thing to do, but that's what Google wants us to create, to build up a good reputation in general, and specifically get some links from it. And so now actually we have covered what Google has to say. Now we want to tell you a few things that might help you. So this is the tip part. And I want to go over specifically a simplification of the high quality content equals helpful content. Now I'm going to scratch that a bit and say high quality content is transactional content. And I'll explain. Google, and again, that's their own internal structure. We have to deal with it if we want to rank well. Google sees help as a transaction. And what do I mean? You publish content that is available for Google, is available for the whole world. And in a sense, you're offering this content. And when somebody clicks on Google's link, right, to your page, and they start to use the content, i.e. consume it, read, play with the video, if you have maybe zoom in and out image, scroll, if you have carousel, that's kind of the user accepting your offer of content. So again, Google thinks that high quality content is helpful content. How do you help them? By completing a transaction. I'm offering something to the user in this page, and the user accepted it. So we call it a transactional relationship. It's from the first word in the first title of a page. You are offering content. You might be offering more things than just content. You might be offering to sign up for something. You might be offering to buy something. So that's not the only transactional format that we have. Every good piece of content is evaluated in transactional, let's say, parameters. The page offers something. Does the user accept it? So what we will show now is very quickly run on some specific types of pages that you might find applicable to you that enhance this transactional nature. And let's jump into the first example. And that's a time to provide a shout out to our gracious host here in this beautiful venue, Grove Ventures. And they have actually, it's a very good example. Nobody twisted my hand. A very transactional, again, helpful is transactional now, type of page is a page with extremely high intent. So we all, not all, but I think the most sites will have some section dedicated to other brands. Grove's great section is about their portfolio. It could be partners that you have some collaboration with, or integration, like if your software is dedicated to a few other platforms, obviously integration is something that you would have anyhow. And the main advantage here is that we can try to rank for another brand that is not our own. And again, you might translate this one to partners or integrations instead of portfolio, but it's the same process. It's a process where you have a lot of relevant, right? Look at the bottom of the image. You see a table of brands, basically. But each click on each brand would lead you to a dedicated page that promotes the name of the other brand. Now, what does that give us? If we know that somebody has already been, it is interesting, they're looking for a specific company. We have some overlapping with the company, again, integration, portfolio, it doesn't matter for this specific example. They're interested in the brand, okay? If we have some added value to the brand, to interest in the brand, then we will generate a very, very productive session where, let's say, for example, I'm interested in this company, I'm a user, I saw this, that Grove are talking about this company. Maybe they can share some additional information that maybe is not in the company's homepage. Maybe this is the niche that this is my perspective that I'm looking for to learn more about investor portfolios and stuff like that in their context. Would that mean in our aim, in our goal of increasing the transactional nature of the interaction with the page, is that more users would want to, again, consume the entire content, engage with it, scroll down, click on the different links. They need the information. They asked for the information specifically about the company, and they're feeding them this information. For example, for integration, I'll give another quick example. If you're creating a platform to manage data collaboration for AWS, is that a real thing? I don't think, but it's a hypothetical thing. And maybe the keyword AWS data collaboration has a lot of searches a month, maybe 5,000 searches a month. People want this specific service for the brand that they're already using. If you are already integrating with AWS for this purpose, you need to rank for their brand. So again, the concept is a little bit tricky, but it's very common, and it generates high quality session. A lot of interest, a lot of engagement with the page. And again, engagement meaning that the transaction worked. So if you have, and you most likely have, an integration partner, if Google sees that, if the user sees that, they engage a lot, and Google gets a good indication that it helps those pages rank very well. So those are pages we definitely recommend adding if you don't have them at the moment. Another very good, this is actually very easy to see how it's transactional. It's like giving something to the user without charging them. A lot of time, you as a company that does their own research and develop proprietary processes, you might know, for example, something that a lot of people in the industry want to know, but it might not be something that for any reason you want to monetize. For example, here, it's a simple doc. This is a page that ranks very well and gets a lot of traffic because it offers a free template for firewall security policy. I have no idea how rare it is to find it. I don't do those kind of checkups, but a lot of people apparently want to have this template on their computer. So they look for the template, they click on the purple button, and the site gives it, you just download to your downloads library. You just get a file that has this. This is the epitome of transaction. We won't have a lot of reject for it. You're offering for free. It's very simple. It doesn't require a lot of investment. Here, you want a template? Here's a template. You would do your site a real organic service if you think for a minute, is there something that a lot of people in our industry would appreciate receiving as sort of a little helper. If you do, again, think transactional. I'm offering help in the form of a doc, and a lot of the users download it. Amazing, ranks well. And let me jump directly into the last item before we open it to questions, is blog posts, because most of us currently do blog posts on an ongoing basis. The blog in general has a main single organic flaw, and that is somewhat external to the, let's say, natural business derived content. So what do I mean? For example, if you have a product of sections, and you have 3 products, and those are 3 sub-pages of the product section, it would be the product part of the company that would tell you, hey, we need to change, we need to add a new page, this product is no longer relevant, whatever. Solutions, say maybe sales, the salespeople know what the client is struggling with, they're gonna suggest solution pages. HR is gonna say we need career pages, the CEO is gonna say I'm interested in the home page. So a lot of pages are already coming from the kind of intrinsic business kind of ongoing material that the company would have generated anyway for their website. And a blog is something that comes more or less directly from marketing department. And that kind of separation, again, some things Google is very, very insightful, almost like a human. And there is some separation, conceptual separation between, again, the pages that are being generated ongoing by everybody from involved in the business and from somebody who says we need to publish a new page. Let's try to think about a topic. So that would be a blog as opposed to pure core business pages. So we would recommend not, as a general practice, not use blog as your main source for content freshness. So if you're only publishing blog posts, maybe reconsider. Again, I didn't finish to go all over the other types, but there are very, very good alternatives, and you can, again, contact us for if you want to further explore those avenues. But if you do blog posts, then I want to mention 2 items that might kind of provide a little more intrinsic value to those posts. First of all, that's before the two tips. Obviously, blog posts are subject to every Google guideline for content that there is. So you have to, if it's your money or life, if it's like, all the other questions that we went over, they're subject to that. They need to meet that criteria, all of those criteria. But 2 things that we can do to improve the transactionality of blog posts. The first one, and I know that for B2B it's not an obvious thing, is to promote comments. Comments are probably after a purchase are the best engagement element indicator for Google. Again, transactional. We offered you a piece of content and you have accepted it so strong that you couldn't keep it contained within yourself. You had to sit down and write a comment. That is and I know pages that were ranking, I've had pages that outranked monsters just because they had 1 true organic comment a week. That is insane amount. So like, it was crazy. It doesn't always happen, but what you can do is always prompt for comments. So end the blog post with, what do you think about what we just told you? Do you disagree? Whatever. If you all see podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff like that, it's the exact same concept. Just even though we're B2B and it's a little less appropriate, whenever you can, consider adding those prompts, because any page that will catch comments, a live thread, will rank amazing. Obviously, it also requires that you moderate them. So make sure you publish the organic ones, trash the spam ones. And the second one is, if you revisit a topic that you already have an article about, then you'd want to, and now you have substantial, even enough new material about the topic. You published an article 2 years ago, it was fine for its time. Now there's so much new content, you want to do another one. Don't do another one. Update the existing one. Because Google really appreciates when you kind of show progression. Again, its intent, the intent is internal research, internal processes. You just need to make sure that you clearly annotate last updated and the new update date. It could be at the top of the article. You could shove the old stuff like lower under the fold, but just keep it on the same URL. And Google, again, will appreciate the way you are consistent, you're predictable. If you have new things, you will all put them all in one place. You're not just publishing just pages to rank. This is a very good practice for blog posts. Basically, I would say that we need to make sure that all our pages are well researched. All of our content is researched internally. It has to come from some sort of knowledge that we have, our advantages over others, competitors, or human beings who just don't know what we know. The second super uber important thing is to signal Google about the background. Who are the people? Why did we choose them, and why do they know, and why should Google source them? Who are we? What's our process? What's our badges of honor that we say we know about topic X? That should be in your site. If it's not already, then it should be built. And the third, and maybe the most important thing, think transactional. You offer something, you expect if the users will engage with your offer. Again, read all the way, play the videos, sign up to the form, pay you or whatever, or leave a comment. That's what Google considers high quality content. So think transactional, think what you can offer, think where the user will engage. Obviously, gated content is still an amazing, it's included in the presentation. It's an amazing transactional page because, again, you don't ask for money. It's a very low threshold to accept your offer. Maybe you just need to click view more. Maybe you need to add your email. But yeah, those are amazing pages. Thank you very, very much, everyone who came and watched. Thanks to Grove, again, for hosting us. And I hope you learned something from it.